Today we're talking about the Canon C80. Released back in September of 2024 as the successor to the C70, it bridges the gap between hybrid mirrorless cameras and a full-on cinema rig. And today we're breaking down 10 reasons why you might consider buying the C80 and a few reasons why you probably shouldn't. And by the end of this video, we'll hopefully answer the big question, is this the right camera for you? So jumping straight into reason one, it has to be that mighty 6K full frame BSI sensor. With the Canon C80, you get a next generation backside illuminated design, which maximizes light sensitivity with up to 16 stops of dynamic range. The C80 can record cinema raw light internally at up to 6K, giving you incredible detail and grading flexibility. And you even get 3 compression options, LT, ST, and HQ. That's light, standard, and high quality. So you can always balance your video quality with your storage space capabilities. Reason 2 for me has to be the frame rates. No matter what you're shooting, indie films, documentary style videos, wedding movies, you're going to want slow motion footage to build the emotion and the storytelling of your piece. And the C80 really does have you covered in this area. 4K up to 120 FPS, Full HD up to 180 FPS, that's plenty of options for cinematic slow motion. Unfortunately, the 6K max frame rate is capped at 30 FPS, so hopefully for now you can live without higher frame rates at 6K. Reason 3 are the log filming options. You can film in C-Log 2 with up to 16 stops of dynamic range, or C-Log 3 with up to 14 stops of dynamic range. So you can go Canon Log 2, giving you greater detail for grading, or if you want something easier to handle, you can switch to C-Log 3 with those 14 stops, which still looks great, but is faster to work with. In my opinion, that flexibility is a good win. The C80 also records in XFAVC, XFAVCS, and XFHEVC, meaning that you've got everything from high-end broadcast workflows to efficient MP4 options for quick turnaround projects. Hi there, very quickly, if you're enjoying this breakdown of the Canon C80, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss more deep dives like this one. I cover everything from camera gear reviews to content creation tips and tricks and filmmaking tutorials. And if you want even more behind the scenes stuff, follow me over on Instagram and TikTok, where I share extra tips, behind the scenes shoots, and sometimes just daily life as a content creator. Links are down in the description box below. Now back to the video. Reason 4 is the DP-AF2. We've all come to expect instant autofocus from all of our devices, cameras, phones, whatever. But there are still occasions where focus can be missed, particularly in low light. And Canon's dual pixel autofocus 2 is here to save the day. And it is really quite good with face, eye, head, and body tracking, plus animal detection. Whether you're filming interviews, documentaries, or other run and gun scenarios, you can actually trust that the autofocus is going to work most of the time. And it's just getting better and better. If you're an older videographer or filmmaker like me, you're definitely going to appreciate this functionality. Reason 5 are the pro level connections. The C80 has all the pro input-output connections that you'd expect. Dual mini XLRs, HDMI, Wi-Fi, Ethernet, dual card slots. In particular, the 12G SDI output, you get secure locking cables, long cable runs, and the ability to feed high quality 4K video to recorders or switches, which of course means that you can increase your service or offering with this camera for live events. So whether you're shooting cinema or streaming events, it really is production ready. Reason 6 are the built-in ND filters. One feature I love about the C80 that the C70 had as well is the built-in ND filter system. You probably know already, ND stands for neutral density filter, basically sunglasses for your camera. They cut down the light hitting your sensor so you can keep that cinematic shallow depth of field and proper shutter speed even in bright conditions. On the C80, you get up to 10 stops of ND. You will need to turn on additional NDs past ND6 in the menu, but it's well worth it. Keeping that shallow depth of field in brighter conditions means no more fumbling with screw-on filters or carrying extra gear. It makes run and gun shooting so much faster and keeps your footage consistent. Reason 7 is the 5-axis image stabilization. Although there is no IBIS, the C80 combines lens-based optical stabilization with digital IS to give you 5-axis electronic stabilization. The result is smoother handheld shots, which are okay for run and gun shooting projects or documentaries. Even with non-IS lenses, the digital IS will help cut micro jitters while keeping a natural cinematic look. The trade-off, of course, is a slight crop, and I would actually just recommend that if you want ultra smooth moves, use a gimbal. That's always going to be better. Or you could try shooting at high frame rates for cinematic slow motion. While we're talking about gimbals, that brings us on to reason 8, which is the compact size. The C80 is surprisingly small, around 1.5 kilos. That's the body only, by the way, which makes it one of the more compact pro cinema cameras that you can buy. For me, I was able to condense the whole C80 setup, the rig, the handle, batteries, microphone, with a couple of larger lenses into the Think Tank Airport Essentials bag, which makes it much easier to travel. You can bring it on the flight as well. You can bring it on as your carry-on luggage, which of course means that you have that peace of mind that your kit is safe. Reason 9 is the RF mount versatility. Being an RF mount camera means that you've got access to Canon's latest glass. You can also add EF or even PL lenses with the relevant adapters. And yes, it supports anamorphic lenses too, which is a big win for filmmakers. That means that you can use a range of affordable to high-end cinema glass on the C80, making it production ready for serious film sets as well as casual fun projects. And finally, reason 10 is the Canon workflow and ecosystem. As a Canon shooter myself, I can attest to the workflow support and ecosystem that we're all accustomed to, from Canon LUTs to frame.io, camera to cloud, even down to the familiar setup of the user menus. It just fits into the wider Canon ecosystem really nicely. Now, after saying all of that, of course, no camera is perfect. So here are a few things to keep in mind when you decide on whether you want to purchase one of these beautiful pieces of kit or not. First up, the batteries are Canon's BPA series, reliable but pricey compared to the common LP types. There's no built-in EV, so you will be relying on the LCD or adding an external viewfinder, which means it's tricky to see what you're shooting in brighter conditions and also could mean carrying around extra kit. So there is a way to increase the brightness, contrast and sharpness for your screen. I've just done that now. It still doesn't really work in bright conditions. I think having like a dedicated EVF for this would be more beneficial if you're going to shoot outside, particularly for run and gunning and documentary shooters and wedding videographers as well. They're probably going to want that to see that what they're shooting is actually in focus. Next up, one of the reasons that you're probably interested in this camera is because of the raw workflow, but you have to bear in mind that this is going to be heavy going. You will need a powerful computer or laptop to handle those files. Also, I did find the button placement a little awkward, particularly for changing basics like the aperture, ISO and shutter speed. The C80 had me pressing the 9 function button to toggle and then spinning the top wheel to adjust. And for me, it just wasn't that intuitive. It felt awkward and clunky. And that's not a good thing when you need to change those settings constantly. I'm guessing for most of us, we'd program some of the other function buttons to help with that in our workflow, but you would think Canon would have thought of this straight out of the box. And of course, we have to think about the price. This isn't a budget-friendly camera. It sits well above Canon's hybrid mirrorless bodies, and for most of us, it's a serious amount of cash to part with. So you might consider something from the latest R lineup that may suit your needs better. So how much would you actually be looking to pay for a Canon C80? Well, you would be looking to hand over today at least £4,500 in the UK and currently £5,849 on the official US Canon store. So who did Canon actually make this camera for, and is it the right fit for you? Well, the C80 sits between the Canon C70 and C400 cinema cameras. I think the C80 makes most sense for people who are indie filmmakers who need cinema quality footage in a compact form. Also, I've mentioned it several times already, documentary shooters who want Canon's autofocus, built-in NDs and reliability, wedding videographers who want to increase their offering and already have access to a Canon RF lens selection will be looking at this camera. Possibly content creators moving up from mirrorless cameras ready for a real cinema workflow. More than likely, influencers who can afford to splurge, maybe if they have a new podcast studio and want to bring that cinema quality to their content. And of course, production companies or rental houses, because it's versatile enough to cover multiple roles on set. Oh, so those are my 10 reasons why you might want to buy the Canon C80 and a few reasons why you might want to skip it. But what do you think? Is the C80 a worthy setup in Canon's cinema lineup? Or would you stick with something like the R5C or maybe even jump ship to Sony or Red? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found today's video useful, don't forget to leave us a like. If you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell button for notifications. And now that you've watched this video, don't forget to check out my review of the Sony FX6 or the Sony FX6 vs Canon C80. And in the meantime, stay creative, imagine, implement, and inspire. And I'll catch you in the next one.